Hey there, and welcome to the Women Aging Powerfully podcast. I'm your host, Leah Vachani, certified menopause specialist and nutrition coach. Each week, I chat with top experts on nutrition, fitness, hormones, sleep, fat loss, and other crucial menopausal topics your doctor might be skipping over. We simplify complex science into actionable steps for your daily life, empowering you to tackle menopausal symptoms, weight challenges, and boost your overall health. We are not about aging gracefully. We're about aging powerfully. So grab your headphones, turn up the volume, and dive into this episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Women Aging Powerfully. I'm your host, Leah Vachani, and today I have such a delightful guest. I want you to welcome Dr. Tricia Pingel, who is also known as the Adrenal Whisperer. She is a leading naturopathic physician who specializes in stress and cortisol management. Yes, you heard me correctly. I'm so thankful she's here. We all need her help. And in this powerful conversation, we dive deep into the challenges women face during midlife, exploring how stress and hormonal changes affect our bodies and what we can do about it. Dr. Pingel has transformed countless women's lives by showing them how cortisol is actually at the root cause of their symptoms. She's been featured on major TV shows and in publications like Mind, Body, Green and Prevention Medicine. And today we are going to talk about understanding how stress impacts our physical and mental health, the journey of self-discovery, and the importance of asking for help. Yes, I know it's very difficult as women, and how creativity and dance, of all things, can become powerful tools for healing. And no, I still haven't mastered dance, but she is an incredible dancer. And then we're also going to talk about practical strategies for managing perfectionism and shifting our perspective on stress. So whether you're feeling wired and tired or simply seeking to prioritize your well-being, this conversation offers valuable insights to help you return to your happy, vibrant, and energetic self. Let's welcome Dr. Tricia Pingel. Oh my goodness. Hi, Tricia. I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. So good to see you. I love spending time with you.
Well, this is actually quite timely for me because I actually was nervous to come here and talk to you today a little bit. No, more excited, like way more excited than nervous. But you are known as the Adrenal Whisperer. And I have been under so much stress lately that I was like, oh my gosh, Tricia's going to see it right away on my face. But then I got really excited because I'm like, she can give me some great advice. And, I think today what we're going to talk about, it's not just me, it's like every woman out there, right? I mean, we're all kind of going through this struggle, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like it hits even harder in midlife, like right around that hormonal shift. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
well, absolutely. And that makes sense because cortisol is a hormone. And I think a lot of times we forget that. We go to the doctor and we say, oh, we feel like crap. We're tired. We're not sleeping well. We feel depressed. We feel like we're losing ourselves. We're bloating. Maybe it's my hormones. And they're like, oh, sure, it is hormones. It's perimenopause or it's menopause or whatever. And there's never a mention of how cortisol plays a role in that and how stress plays a role in that. But the bottom line is our adrenals rule our body. They decide whether or not we're going to maintain hormones or not. So we have to look at that. So I think it's a great thing to talk about, because the more that we understand as women how our bodies communicate with us and how to listen to them and how to lean into them, and then how to give us that self-love that we truly need, we can actually breeze through perimenopause and menopause. I know that sounds crazy.
Say what?
But we can. And I think it really comes down to us finally just saying, okay, enough pleasing everyone else. It's time to focus on ourselves. My body's going through changes. How can I nurture myself rather than overextend myself and make this worse?
And I think it's also that time where we could kind of get by doing, wearing 10,000 hats, going from first step out of bed till our head hits the pillow in our, teens, of course, 20s and 30s. And then all of a sudden around that midlife, like it just doesn't work anymore. So we're kind of forced to take a step back and think, oh my gosh, what is happening? And wow, I need to start doing some self-care and eating more healthy and taking, where did this 10 pounds, is that my stress belly? Where did that come from? And what do I do about it? So all these things pop up and force us to pay attention. But at the same time, a lot of women are like, okay, but where do I start? Because so many things are thrown at us. Like it's diet, you got to work on your sleep, you got to, take these supplements, like get on these hormones. Like where do we start? Did you have this similar experience?
Yeah, I think I am the queen of powering through. I have powered through everything in my life. Just, survive, survive, survive. Keep working, keep pushing. You'll make it. You'll get there, blah, blah, blah. And I grew up in the modeling industry when I was 9 months old. My mom was a model, professional model. And from the time I was born, I was put in front of a camera. So I was crawling across the screen in baby clothes. I was in shoots in the background. I was an extra on this and that. And all the way into my teens, signed with a large fashion agency, started working, right? So I learned how to be professional and how to be an adult when I was very young, which I don't necessarily, there's ways it serves you because you can be present in most environments and make it work. But it also taught me to be quiet and keep pushing through. Just keep going. Like it doesn't matter. Whatever they say, you just do whatever they want. You just show up, you put on the clothes they want, you be the person they want you to be, and I think that led a lot to self doubt. And I know I'm not alone here. You don't have to be in the professional modeling world to be a victim to self worth and self doubt. Just go onto social media, compare yourself to another 40, 45-year old, one that's kicking butt and doing everything and is thin and fit and has all this time, and other ones who are not, and sit there and go, oh man, I feel horrible. And I think so many of us start saying, okay, we're not good enough, so we're going to do more. And if we do more, we're going to get better. So fast forward, lost my dad, lost my grandparents, lost my mom, found myself caregiving, cleaning up messes, being the adult, because that's what I was trained to be at a very young age. And 40 years old, I mean, Leah, I wasn't present with my kids in the way I should be. I woke up every day and thought, why am I here? Who the heck am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. My parents are gone. My family's gone. I'm getting old. I was still modeling, but it's totally different when you're, 16 versus 40. My body was changing. I was having a hard time keeping up with friends and I felt like I want to go be with them, but I don't. And I just hit this depression. And I got to this point where I said, Tricia, this is it. You have a choice. You're either going to pick things up and you're going to make your life what you really want it to be, what you tell your patients to be, or you're going to continue to go down. You're going to be old, you're going to be fat, you're going to be tired, you're going to have disease, you're going to be unhappy, or you cannot. And there was just that point where I just looked myself in the mirror and said, I am worth it. Even if I didn't feel it at the time, I knew it. I knew I was. I knew there was a better life out there because I could see everyone else having it. So I said, instead of complaining about it, why don't I do something about it? And that was that turning point. And it was not easy. The solutions are simple, but they're not easy because when you're in that place, it is really hard. All you see is the fault. You see the belly. You see your little love handles hanging over the back of your pants. You see that you don't fit into the clothes you used to fit into, or you fit in them, but you look ridiculous in it. Like you're like a marshmallow falling out of it. I couldn't figure that out. I was like, I used to wear this dress a year ago. How come right now I look like a marshmallow? I'm the same weight. I don't understand. My boobs are like hanging out of it. My butt, all of a sudden you can see the stuff on, I was like, what is going on? And so it's really hard, but I want to encourage everyone. And I want to say very clearly that each and every one of you listening are worth this change. You are worth every single day waking up and saying, how can I serve in a way that also serves me? Because we can keep pushing. We can keep trying to help everyone else first. But guess what? When your cup is empty, if you haven't gotten there yet, if I'm catching you early, you're going to end up exactly where I was, which was hating my life. And thank heavens I'm not suicidal, but I mean, it's as close as I could have gotten to it, if I'm honest. I mean, I was like, why am I waking up? And who is Tricia? Identity is a huge thing at that time. You just don't always know who you are because you've served so many people for so long.
Yeah, and you bring up identity shift. It is an identity shift. It's almost, I like to call it a rebirth. Well, it's an opportunity for a rebirth. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily that unless you like you were mentioning, you can be in victim mode or you can be in responsibility mode.
Yep.
And if you stay in victim mode, then it can turn out very dark, like you were kind of alluding to. But if we
And
take yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and I didn't feel like a victim. Like I wasn't saying to anyone else. And so I want to be clear because some people may be saying, well, I'm not a victim, but I feel like she just said,
Yeah.
I never went to anyone and said, oh, woe is me. I never asked for help ever. That was the problem. I was afraid to be seen as a victim. I was afraid to be seen that I would be weak if I said no or asked for help because I knew in my training, you know, you have to be a survivor. You need to be resilient. You can't be a victim. And there is so many people that do say, I can't do this because that is a victim mentality, right? Because you're like, I can't go for a walk because I have pain in my foot. Well, why do you have pain in your foot? I don't know. Well, let's find out. Like, let's move on, right?
Yeah.
Let's figure it out. But most of the women that I meet with, they're afraid to be the victim to such an extent that they don't reach out.
I'm really glad that you really drilled down on that, because that's exactly what I was trying to say, is that like being a victim is just letting things happen to you without taking action. And I think what you said was so important about it's okay to ask for help. That is part of taking responsibility, though. That is reaching out and taking action for your life. That's a responsible action. So thank you for for redefining that in a much better terms.
No, it's good. And you know, people say, well, how do you do that? How do you start? And here's what, do you want to know what I did?
Yeah.
So first of all, of course, I looked myself in the mirror. And this has been, by the way, I'm 40, I'll be 49 next month. So this was not almost 9 years ago. Okay. So I'm still evolving this. I didn't just wake up at 40 and have it perfect in a week. Okay. I'll tell you where I started and where it's gone. So where I started with is I said, I have no joy. If someone would have said to me, Tricia, what do you do for fun? I literally would not have been able to say anything. Like I was like, I don't have fun anymore. Like I want to have fun with my children. I feel like I should be having fun, but I'm not. So I asked myself, what did you used to do that was fun? And I grew up, my dad was a musician on the side. He played music at night. So every morning when I wake up, he'd be plucking the guitar, right? We'd have all these parties and these gatherings where people would come and sing and dance. And I was a dancer. I went to dance class all the time. I was a dance team captain when I was in high school. And I've always been one that listened to music. And as I started to reflect back, I was like, oh my God, I don't really listen to music anymore and I don't dance. When my dad died, it was really painful for me to listen to music. I'd listen to Billy Joel because that's what we used to listen to all the time. And I would just cry and cry and cry and cry. And granted, it was grief, but I got to a point where I just didn't do it anymore because I was like, I don't have time to grieve. I don't have time to do this. I got to take care of, you know, my practice and my kids and my this and that and blah, 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 blah. All the lists of things that us perfectionists like to lay out there as a checklist, I put before that. So the first thing I did is I started listening to some music again and I started kind of dancing around. I was like, I really like dancing. I'm going to find a dance class. So I go to a dance studio and nobody had adult hip hop classes. I'm a hip hop dancer. Nobody had adult hip hop classes. So I went into a class, 40 years old, with 14 and 15 years old. And I walked in and I said, I want to take this class. And is it okay? And they're like, well, if you're comfortable, then we're okay with it, I guess. But I mean, you're in with a bunch of teens. And you know what's so funny, Leah, is I walked in there and I felt like everyone was looking at me and I felt like everyone was judging me. And then I realized, oh my God, they feel exactly the same way because they're 14, right? So I kind of was like, we are all in the same boat. All of us care so much about what someone thinks. So we can just let go because who cares? Right. And I started dancing and I was awful at it because my brain, I had disconnected that ability of my brain to communicate with my body. So even though my head saw the routine, my body couldn't keep up. Or as I was moving, my head would drop the next move. And it was really challenging. And I almost didn't go back.
Wow.
I've talked to so many women who have said, oh, I went to a dance class, but I didn't go back. So here's the tip. You got to go back. You got to go back again, whatever it is. You paint. It's an ugly painting. Paint again. Just keep going. So I kept going back every single week and started to expand, learn more, got better and better at it. And now I dance 6 classes a week. And I love it. I love it. I can keep up with the choreography. Here's why it saved my life. And I say dance saved my life. Number one, it gave me something that brought me joy, right? I left there and I felt like, even though sometimes I felt like a failure, I was like, but that was fun, like I enjoyed that. Number two, you can't think about anything else when you dance. You cannot think about your to-do list. In fact, it has been listed as the best exercise to prevent dementia because it has to access so many different parts of your brain at one time. You have to be focused. So you have to be in a parasympathetic state. You can't be stressed out or you won't get the routine. You just won't get it. Number two, your brain has to communicate like with where your arm has to go and your arm actually has to go there. And you have to listen to the music and feel the music, the emotion of the music. So you're doing tactical movement with emotional movement, right? So your brain is so preoccupied. And the more you relax into the parasympathetic state, the more choreography you pick up. So you're rewarded by being focused and calm. And so it actually helps prevent dementia and it helps on so many different levels to calm the body down. And if you're not a dancer, that's okay, but it needs to be something creative because when you were a kid, you did something creative. What did you do when you were a kid?
I did a lot of writing, and my mom's an artist, so I did some, painting and drawing as well. I was really bad at it, but I loved it. It was fun. And then, hearing you share your story about dance kind of reminded me that at some point I stopped being creative,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually kind of forgot how for a while. And I had a similar moment in my 40s where I actually started making these bracelets with gemstones,
Oh,
um, because I just needed something creative in my life, and it was meaningful to me for many reasons. But I would give them as gifts and all that stuff. But um, it was shocking to realize how I had forgotten just how to be creative. And the perfectionist in me was like, "Well, don't make a mistake. Like,
right,
don't try that because you might fail." It's like,
right.
whoa, who is that?
Yeah, who is that person? And that is 100% cortisol. It's a beta wave state. It's a cortisol state that you have to do it perfect. Excuse me. You have to do it quickly. You can't devote too much time to that, right? And we do lose that creativity because of that. We feel like everything has to be done in a certain way by everyone else's standards, and creativity takes that away. It allows you to just create. And who cares? If you throw the bracelet away, you throw the bracelet away. If you keep it, I don't know, like
It's just like when you're dancing, like probably no one's watching you anyways,
oh my
right?
gosh,
I mean,
nobody
it's for you. I mean,
nobody's looking at the mirror at you. I can tell you that. Everyone's worried about what they're doing.
and that can be extrapolated to almost anything that we as women sometimes if you're hesitant to do something, chances are nobody else actually cares or even knows that you're doing it. This is for you. So take it. I love it's an act of courage too to take that first step. That was so courageous of you. And then I bet the more courageous step is going back, like you said, and keep going
Commitment. Yeah.
when you're thinking like, oh, I failed or I wasn't good or something like that.
I still have yet to perform in the recital. I did in my 20s when I danced for a little while. I did a couple recitals and still I learned but here's the thing. I still go and I learn the recital routine. So I stand in the back and I do the routine with them, but I don't perform it. And they keep saying, that's your next step, Tricia, is to go perform. And I think for me, I feel like it's so important for the girls that I feel like I don't want to like ruin their moment. But what's funny is after years and years of dancing with the teens, all the adults, all the parents of the girls were like, well, we want to dance. So they started an adult hip hop class. So now, and that is probably the most popular class. We get so many people in there and we laugh and we have all different levels and we cheer each other on and we just encourage everyone. And so now out of dance came community, which has been kind of the next evolution of growth for me is saying, I'm not alone. Everyone else is like this too. We all are looking for a place to have fun and to let loose and a non judgment zone and let go of the stresses of the day. We don't get together and complain about anything. We don't talk about our work day. We just laugh and we dance and we all go home like, woohoo, like this was great. And since then, I've found more and more classes with more and more adults. It's amazing how much opens up when you just take that first leap, right? And it's been more recently that I've had to work. The last couple of years, I've been working more on the negative self-talk, saying to myself, oh, I don't fit in these pants like I used to. Oh, I need to go on a diet. Oh, I need to work out more. No, No longer. I'm not saying that to myself anymore. And it took me putting a rubber band around my wrist and snapping it every time I caught myself saying something that was not serving me.
Yeah.
Right? I think an important point is that when we grow up, we learn all these patterns. And at the time they serve us, it served me to be really responsible when I was 12 or 13. When I was driving to shoots by myself when I was 16 in downtown Seattle, navigating the map and having to show up on time and be what they needed and file my taxes and take care of all the stuff. I had to do all that. I had to survive, right? It served me really well. But there was a point where it started to eat at who I was. It hid my voice, right? And I thought it was okay to not talk or not speak and just live by what everyone else wanted. It served me well. Now it doesn't serve me anymore. And so it's okay. I don't regret it. It made me very successful in many different ways. It gave me some life experience that most people can't say they've had. But I had to start letting that go in my 40s and say, this has been great. Thank you, body, for protecting me and keeping me organized. But now I'd like to live a little. I mean, because losing my family young, they didn't know that was their last day, and I imagine I probably don't know when my last day is either. So how am I going to live today and bring myself joy every day? Because when I bring myself joy, I bring my kids joy. I bring my husband joy. I bring people I talk to joy. And if at the end of the day, someone says, wow, Tricia brought me so much joy today, then I did my job. Like that was it. That's all I need out of my life, is to know that I moved someone. I helped them. They said, wow, I like her energy, or I love that idea. I'm going to do it. Like that's what I live for every single day. And when I wake up, I'm grateful to wake up and do that. Where before I couldn't, because you could see the pain, you could see the depression in me, you could see that I wasn't 100% present, and that it needed to go. So if you're feeling that way, like you're not present, today's the day.
Just stop. Oh, that's a really good YouTube clip to go search for.
It's so funny.
It's so good. It's who was it again?
I think it was Bob Newhart. Wasn't it Bob
Yes.
Newhart?
And
it
it's
was
called like Just Stop or something.
Just Stop. Oh my God, that's so hilarious. That's one of my favorite clips. And it's so true. It's not easy though.
No, it's not easy at all. But I have it saved to my desktop because on my, like right there, I wake up every morning, and if I need to see it, I'll press play because it's so, the message is so on point. You guys just go Google it. You'll know what I'm talking about. When you were talking, Tricia, I was thinking about the fact that if you're a mom, if you've had babies before, when the babies are newborn or really young, everyone tells us, put your oxygen mask on first. You have to take care of yourself if you want to, keep your baby alive and be there for your children and be able to provide all that you want to. Somehow along the way, that message seemed to have gotten lost. And now it's like, I think more than ever, now we really need to put our oxygen mask on first. And what you were saying is, when we take care of ourselves, because we are nurturers by nature, females are nurturers by nature, and we want to make everyone feel good, to provide them with, nourishing food and joy and life and laughter. But if we don't put our oxygen mask on first, that's not going to permeate through us. We can't be there for everyone then.
Yeah. And we seem to think we can, I mean, we seem to think that we're superwomen and we can do everything. And, I love it because I love the women's empowerment that now we're working and we're doing all these things, but at what cost too? There's still some things that we really need to consider. Is just because we can do everything doesn't mean that we should. And I think also one of the things that was really hard for me, and still is the aspect of control, right? Who was I talking to? I don't think it wasn't you, but it was, I just remember it was someone around the same time I was talking to you last time. They were like, well, I have to go pick out the outfits for my kids' photos. But I'm swamped and I'm overwhelmed. And she's like going through, it wasn't you. I remember who it was. She was swamped and overwhelmed or something. And she was like, she's like, I just have to go do that, but I've got so much other stuff to do. And I go, why don't you let your husband do it? And he goes, could you imagine the outfits that my husband would pick out? And I started laughing and I said, Oh my God, that would be so fun though.
That would be the most epic picture
That
ever.
would be the most epic picture ever. You know, we worry like, oh my God, what if someone comes over and our kids are mismatched picture on the wall? So I thought of these pictures we did with our family when we were young. And I had this friend who was a photographer, you know, that I used to shoot with all the time. And he did this project of like capturing families in their raw moments. And we would ask the kids, what do you want to do? Do you want a theme? And they'd be like, we want to dress up as superheroes. You're like, great, we'll all dress as superheroes. And we'd let the kids pick their outfit and we'd put on a superhero thing. And they were just allowed to play on set. There was no posing. There was no, okay, you sit next to mommy and hold her hand. No, it was like, do whatever you want. They're all over my wall and they are hilarious. There's ones where my kids are popping through my legs. There's other where they're playing with toys together. They are hands down my favorite family photos. And I say to this day, I never want to have a posed family portrait again. They are so boring. So I think when you reframe that and you're like, oh, that's the picture where my husband picked out the clothes, like that actually could be quite funny. And also, why do we assume? Here, I'm going to shout out to you guys, men. Why do we assume that they can't do it? I mean, honestly, they're grown-ups. They have brains. They know how to do it. It might not be what we see, but they know how to do it. They know how to make kids breakfast. Like, we don't have to do it. And so I think we get on this control thing that it won't be done right if we don't do it. And imagine, what are we modeling for our children if we do that? Our kids are so stressed out.
Yeah.
They've got things all the time going on. There's overstimulated nervous systems, poor food out in the world, all sorts of, they're growing up with social media. And we're sitting there teaching them that if we control every single little thing, that's how we survive. And they're seeing us get snappy. They're seeing us get tired. They're seeing us not be as engaged with them as we used to be, not wanting to play. You know, hey, mom, can we go do this? Oh, man, I'm just too tired. Or not now. I can do it later, right? I got to finish this task first. What are we teaching them?
That it sucks to be an adult.
That it sucks to be an adult and that we should always worry about everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, I started a YouTube channel called What Am I Modeling? And I did that for that reason because I was like, really, everyone's like, okay, Dr. Pingel, what can I do to improve my health and have a healthy, happy home, which is what we all want. And I'm like, you got to start looking at what you're teaching kids. Because by us micromanaging them and telling them what to do, they're watching us, right? They're watching what we do. The habits that I picked up about perfectionism did not come from someone saying, Tricia, you need to be a perfectionist. You need to check everything off and you need to make sure everyone's happy. Nobody ever said that to me, but I watched. I watched my mom go through it in the modeling industry. I watched as I was in it myself. I felt out of control a lot throughout my life as people were dying and things were happening and whatever, where I got this idea that if you're really organized and you're on top of it, everyone will think you're great.
Yeah.
And then it takes you down. So for the moms having a hard time going, oh, yeah, Dr. Pingel, great, but I've got like 8,000 things on my list. I would advise you to look at that list and really decide, do you really have 800 things? We can talk about my tips for that at the end too, but it's really about, is your husband really not capable? Like, are your kids, like my kids empty the dishwasher. They do a horrible job. Like they really do. I mean, it sucks. There's like, I take a bowl out and there's like food on it. And I'm like, oh, you know what I mean?
It doubles the workload.
But they're learning.
Yeah.
And they get better at it as they go along. Eventually, they'll get better at it. So yeah, I got to sometimes rewash a dish. Big deal.
Yeah. And it might add temporary stress to your day, but think about in the longevity of this, you're giving your child and you a better, you're giving them the responsibility, the feeling of being productive and part of a team and ownership. And that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're teaching them that, which is important, So, and it doesn't really add more stress to our plate. We just pretend
it does for mine.
Because you're seeing it that way. You're like, oh my God, another dish. Oh my God, the dish is stressed. It's just a dish, Leah.
So I got to shift my
You know what else you can do? You can send your kid back to wash it again. That's what I do. I'm like, oh, hey guys, I put a stack of dishes on the side of the sink for you that didn't quite make the cut. If you could go back and do that by 4:00, and then I let it go because I'm like, it's just a dish. Yeah. Like, what's the big deal? I mean, granted, if I'm having a dinner party, I'm going to check my dishes first. Right? I'm going to check the fork. But I mean, it's not
You're
really.
right. It's such a perspective shift. It's like, it's when you said, like, do I choose joy or do I choose, unhappiness? Or like, there's always a choice. Do I choose to stress out about this and let it weigh on me and
Mhm,
sit there heavy and take up space in my mind and take up energy?
mhm.
No, I can choose the opposite. I can choose to put it here and let it go. And it'll
Yeah,
be what it
well,
is.
I mean, when we talk about the adrenals, we have all these external stressors, and that's that dish, or it could be anything from the death of a loved one to a dirty dish. Your brain doesn't know the difference, but it has a stress response, right? And then when we are having all of these external stressors, it causes internal stressors. It causes change in our hormones, our thyroid, our nutrition, our digestion, our sleep, our mood, and all these things, right? So we have external and we have internal. So you bring people like you and I on to work on the internal, right? To say, okay, let's balance out the thyroid. Let's make sure we have enough selenium. Let's make sure we're putting the right diet in. Let's make sure digestion is, working. Let's make sure we're in a parasympathetic state, all these types of things. But the work from you is you now have to change that external stressor. So here's a newsflash for anyone that thinks it's going to get better. Listen up. It's not. Stress is not going anywhere. It is there for the rest of our life. There is going to be more crap to do. There is going to be more stimulation. It's not going to slow down after the holidays. It's not going to slow down when school comes out. It will never slow down. If anything, our lives are going to get faster and faster and faster. You cannot change that. So stop trying to control it because it's not going to happen, right? It is going to get worse. So what can you do? We have senses, we have eyesight, we have smell, we have touch, right? These are things that tell our brain whether or not we're scared, right? If you smell the oven burning, your brain goes, oh, is there a fire? Right? What triggered that? Your nose, right? If you see a car crash, oh my gosh, you're seeing it, right? You hear something, right? A rustle in the bushes, I say. If you were walking in the woods and you heard a rustle in the bushes, you'd wonder, oh my God, is that a bear, right? Use your sensors to your advantage. You have to change the way that you view and hear and smell stress because it's not going anywhere. There's always going to be 8,000 more things. So when something else comes on your plate, you have to be like, okay, well, is that something I want to do? Do I have any control over it? And do I actually want to do it? Like, if you
Yeah.
don't want to do it, say no. You don't have to go to the PTA meeting. You don't have to be the president of whatever. You don't have to. If you want to and you have fun with it, make time for it. If you don't, it's okay. And those little things that we quote have to do, we don't have to do them. And I want to be clear about that. Have you ever said, like, oh my God, I have to do this interview, but I have to go to the bathroom? Oh my God, I just have to take time to go to the bathroom. And it's like annoyance, right?
Yeah.
You get to go to the bathroom. You get to stand up, walk on 2 feet to the bathroom, go to the bathroom by yourself unassisted, wash your hands, come back, and sit back down. Do you know how many people can't do that? How many
N-
people
Apparently, some
can't go
people,
to the
I really,
can't go to the bathroom by themselves? My mom was dying of cancer. She needed a walker. She could not walk by
oh, you're
herself. She could not
physically.
sit down by herself. She had to have assistance to go to the bathroom. What about people who are in a wheelchair? They need assistance to go to the bathroom, right? Now, they have some of the best outlooks of any people I've ever met because they realize what's important in life. But we sit here and say, "Oh my God, I have to take a break." Oh, you get to. That's freaking powerful right there. You get to take a moment to walk outside. You get to go to the grocery store. You get to physically go and hand over money to somebody for nutritious food. Not everyone gets to do that, right? So I think when you start to look at that and you come at the world from gratitude and love rather from hate, blame, and fear, right? It changes the way that you view the world, which then changes the way that people respond to you because you're excited to go to the bathroom, take the break, and say hi to the person down the hall. You're no longer like going with your head down as you run to the bathroom as fast as possible and get back to your desk. You're like, oh, hey, how's it going? It changes your outlook. We have that control. The stress isn't going anywhere. We change our stress. And then if you're working with a provider that's helping balance the internal environment, bingo. That's longevity right there. It's longevity. Because now you have time to work out. Now you're happy to go to the gym. You're like, oh my God, I get to go to the gym. That is freaking great. Rather than I have to go to the gym today.
Yeah, I love it. The perspective shift. It's really hard though.
Mhm.
Like, and if someone's sitting here listening, thinking like, that sounds really great, but I don't know where to start, Dr. Pingle. Like, where do I even start? What is your advice to them?
Start recognizing where you're have to. Start recognizing it. Put that rubber band around your wrist. And every time you catch yourself saying, I'm ugly or I'm fat or I'm anything that amounts to I'm not good enough as I am right now in this moment, snap yourself, change it, change the language. Every time you catch yourself saying have to, stop, snap yourself, change the word I get to. You will be surprised how many times you say I have to, I can't, or I'm not, right? Every time you hear those, stop it. First step in any health process is figuring out what the situation is. We have to investigate it, right? That's why we do lab work, right? We have to investigate how many times a day am I doing this? Am I falling victim to this? And then change the language. Then the next step is once you change the language, you start changing the emotion. So you start having love for it. And I know it sounds stupid. People are like, yeah, okay, great. I'm going to say I love to go to the bathroom. But I mean, I'm you can literally change the frequency of your body to happiness and joy easily within a week by literally just changing what you say to yourself, because we are our biggest critics. And this is having an impact on your health. It is impacting your perimenopause. I guarantee you, because progesterone and cortisol have a relationship. And if you're constantly saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I can't do that, I have to do that, blah, 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 the body says, oh my gosh, there's a bear. I'm going to take from that progesterone and I'm going to turn it into cortisol. And then all of a sudden, now you have irregular menstrual cycles. Now you're bloated. Now you're snappy. Now you're not sleeping, right? And people go and they put progesterone in, which is all fine and good, unless you have a bear. And then it's going to pull from that and it's going to go down the adrenal pathway and you're going to feel worse, right? So we have to look at that when we're looking at hormones. We have to look at that when we're looking at health. And the cool thing about all of this is this doesn't cost a thing. It just costs your mind to say, I'm not going to talk to myself like that anymore. What would you say to your child if they came home and said, Mom, I'm fat. I don't like the way I fit in these pants. I'm not good enough. I can't keep up with the people around me. I I just I just can't do it. I'm just overwhelmed and I have too much to do. And what if your child said that to you? What would you say to your child? Would you say, sorry, buddy, power through? Like you're right? You are fat? Like you would never say that, but we say that to ourselves every single day. Every day.
I like that. So if you wouldn't say it to your child, don't say it to yourself. It's very simple.
Right? What would
Yeah.
you tell your best friend? You know what I mean? Like we just don't
Yeah.
treat ourselves with that love and respect that we should. And it sounds simple. I'm not saying it's easy. It's the hardest thing
Yeah.
you will do, but it will make the biggest change in your life overall.
Yeah. I love that. Just letting that sink in for a second. That was such
I
a good
know.
reminder. Well, even people like me who work on these things, it's not easy. I need reminders too.
Mhm.
I hire coaches too. It is not easy, but it is transformative. Like I myself have experienced this on a small level, and I have now, as a nutritionist, someone that works with food as medicine and lifestyle changes, habit changes, I have now come to realize after working with thousands of women that one of the most important, actually, one of the first things that women need to start doing is that self talk, like acknowledging how they are talking to themselves and shifting that into positive, loving, nurturing talk for themselves. That can literally move the needle more sometimes than adding more protein,
Oh, for sure. And
changing your
how do
diet.
you commit? How do you
Yeah.
commit to the diet if you don't have the right mindset about it, right? And if you think you're ugly, you're not going to pick the right foods, right? Like,
Every
and
choice.
looking at food and I'm getting protein because I'm working out and I'm working on my muscle mass. We
Yeah.
get very critical of ourselves and we get these checklists. I have to get 25 grams of protein. I have to get, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If we just listened to our body and responded to it with love and compassion, it's easier to make those changes in your diet and your exercise. If you would have asked me 9 years ago that if you would have said, Tricia, you're going to be dancing 6 hours a week, I would have been like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah. It's what you make time for, though. You can prioritize and shift. I mean, you know, that's one thing that I kind of want to talk about just for one more minute. I know we've gone quite a while. I have so much to ask you, but
I'm yours.
yay. When people say I don't have time, to me that is it's a choice of priorities. And I know there are some things that in life, some people that you have to go to a job in some cases in an office, you have to pay the bills, you get to pay the bills, you get to go
Thank
to the
you.
job that pays for things that you need and want in your life. But what is your take on that with the priority of time? Like, can we touch on
You
that
know,
for a second?
yeah, one of my favorite exercises for this is pick up your phone and go to your screen time and tell me, how much time are you spending scrolling on social media, reading the web, and doing all the stuff? And then ask yourself, what if I gave 10% of that time back? Just 10%. Start with that. So let's say most people, I think the average for like people on their phone and adults is like well over 8 hours. Like it's freaking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Kids are like
8 hours in a
16.
day?
It's unbelievable. I don't have the stats in front of me, so I may be it's when I looked it up, like how much time does the average child spend on their phone in screen time versus adults? It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, granted, a lot of us work from our phone, right? I do a lot on my phone to do stuff, but I can look at what time of day I'm doing that, right? I think you can actually break it down to how much time have you spent on social media. I think it does break it down for you. Like, so let's say that you're scrolling, mindful scrolling for 2 hours a day. What if you took 10% of that back and instead you went for a walk or you practiced meditation or you used your phone to listen to a meditation instead of scrolling? You're like, okay, I just want to chill out. I want to relax. And we think, oh, we'll check in and see what everyone's doing. What if we said, oh, we'll just turn on music? I started doing that with frequency music, where when I felt like I needed to kind of like chill out, I would turn on like alpha wave frequencies and close my eyes and just lean back in my chair and just let myself relax for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I argue everybody has 10 minutes. Everybody. When I go to bed at night, I do stretches before bed. I could go to bed and scroll. I could read. I could look at a TV, right? So how many things are you doing that you don't need to do? The other thing, I promised you I would come back to this. There's kind of these questions I ask myself, and this opens up a ton of your time. Number one, when you're faced with something, first question is, can I control the outcome? Yes or no? Number two is this worth my energy? Yes or no? And then based on that, you say, am I going to take it on? Am I going to delegate it? Or am I going to let it go? So I find 80% of the stuff that we do every day is either not in our control or not worth our energy. So there's 80% of your tasks off your plate right now because you're going to delegate it or you're going to let them go, right? The things that are worth your energy, in your control, are going to be quickly solved because they're within your energy and they're within your control. So you can quickly solve them and move on and cross it off your list, right? So if you can let go of a lot of the tasks that you do that you feel like you have to do, maybe because that's what we were told we are. If we're a mom, we're supposed to do the dishes, we're supposed to vacuum, we're supposed to lay out the kids' clothes every day, we're supposed, God knows what else, right? All the things that we tell ourselves we're supposed to do. Who made these rules, by the way? I'd like to know. I'd like to call them up and say, do you actually do this every day? If I wrote down a list of everything that I really truly thought I was supposed to do in a day as a mom, I would never get it done. There is no way, right? So what if we let go of a lot of that?
Yeah, because otherwise we're kind of setting ourselves up for failure in a way. I mean, to feel like we failed, because if it's impossible to get to everything, we're inevitably going to be like, oh, wow, I'm such a failure. I didn't get all my list done.
And what's perfectionism? It's unattainable anyway, because every single person has a different view. What I think is perfect is probably not what you think is perfect. So we're setting ourselves up to fail, right? And the only way we grow from failure is to actually fail. So let yourself fail a little. Like, don't do that dish. Don't redo that dish. Who cares? Don't do it. Just take a day and say, you know what? Today I'm not doing any dishes for anyone. I'm going to delegate it off to the person that didn't do it right in the first place. And I'm not going to walk in the kitchen and freak out about it. I'm just going to look at it and say, they haven't done it yet. Okay. There, solved. There's 5 minutes that you were going to rewash a dish that you just gained to do some stretching or
I
some
was just
meditation.
gonna say, I feel like I got so much time back in the day now following your advice. This is wonderful.
You know, I mean, it really doesn't take that much every day, guys. It really doesn't. It just takes a little, and as you get good at it, you'll open up more and more time.
Yeah.
You'll be able to prioritize it more and involve your kids in it. Involve your kids in the meditation, involve them in the stretching,
Because
involve
they're
them in the routines, because you're modeling for them that it's okay to take time out of their day. Don't just go sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix. And if you do, invite them to join you and have them have an interactive conversation about it. But include your kids in these things that help you relax when you're tired. You know, we're tired. Newsflash, guys. Why are we tired? We're not tired because of perimenopause. We're tired because we do too much. And our bodies are freaking tired. So, what do? We need to offload some of that stuff so that we can restore and repair. That's what we need to do, right? No supplement is going to improve your fatigue when you have a list of 100 things, right? No, your weight is not going to drop off with a perfect diet if you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. It's not going to happen. When does weight come off? When you're calm. So if I reframe this and I said, the more you meditate, the more weight you lose, everyone will start meditating, right? So I'm going to say that the more you meditate correctly, the more weight you'll lose.
Well, I'm going to title this talk that so that we get lots of people coming to listen to it.
But it's true. That's when we lose weight, is when we're calm.
Yeah.
We don't lose weight when we're running from a bear. We pack it on. We change our insulin levels and we pack on belly fat. That's the best way. The best way to gain weight is to be stressed out all the time and overwhelmed. That's the best way to gain weight. If you want to gain weight, run yourself ragged.
I absolutely think we need to have you back because that is an entire new talk or another talk that we have to have because that ties into blood sugar balance. And as we are getting through this perimenopause, menopause stage, we're already put into this state where our insulin is more resistant and our blood sugar is higher. And then you add on the stress and it's just like this recipe for not being happy, putting on weight, feeling tired, not sleeping. I could go on.
I know, we should do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah. Well, I want to make sure that people who are really inspired, that want to learn more and follow more of your tips, Dr. Pingel, where can they find you?
drpingel.com is a great start. It has everything on there. If you are on social media, I would suggest you only do it for fun at short little spurts. And so I try and make my social media really fun so that you're not sitting there. There's no negativity there. It's dancing and fun and information and quick.
I was just going to ask if you're dancing.
Oh my gosh, constantly. The one thing I will say about social media that's positive about it is it can grow community. It can grow people to come together and start talking and sharing experiences. So if you do come and follow me at Dr. Pingel on Instagram or at Dr. Tricia Pingel on Facebook, YouTube, all of this is on my website. You guys can go there and find it all. But if you do come, say hello, introduce yourself. That's why we're there, right? We're there to be social. So let's be social. Let's not just linger in the background and scroll for hours. Let's say hello. So introduce yourself, say where you heard me, and thank you so much for having me today. Such a joy to spend time with you.
Oh my gosh, it was my pleasure. Not sure I'll take up dancing quite yet, but I have a list I just wrote down 3 things that I'm going to do now to have fun. So,
okay, what are they?
You.
Say them so everyone hears it.
Well, my first one was really easy. It's play more tennis because tennis brings me just absolute joy. The second one was take my kids on more hikes because I love hiking, but they don't love it. And I'm hoping that they can learn to love it. And the third one was...
And if not, Leah, it's okay to go by yourself.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Okay, good.
I mean, I would like, I get to do it more though. The weather is beautiful. And speaking of, that's the third thing is go look at all the spring flowers outside because it's this tiny window right now. And I live in Northern California and everything is in bloom and it's just gorgeous. And I'm sitting in a room with the shades drawn in front of a laptop, which I love you, Tricia, but I'm going to go outside after this.
Good. I'm glad. I love that one. That's my favorite one, to look at the flowers.
So much joy. Like it's so just
much joy. And
instant.
Nobody thinks of that. That's really literally as easy as it needs to be. Just go outside after you listen to this and look at the flowers. Smell them if you can. Look, smell, touch, do all this.
Activate all my senses because I'll hear the hummingbirds and the bees and see the flowers, smell them. This was so full of golden nuggets. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to have you back. But everyone, go check out Tricia on her website, drpingel.com, because she has so much to offer, so much good stuff. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Hey, lovely listeners. Before we go, remember, this is just the beginning of our journey together. If you're excited to explore more about hormones, weight loss, and stepping into your power, check out leahvachani.com to see how you can join me in thriving through menopause. And don't forget to stay connected with me on Instagram at Leah Vachani for daily doses of laughs, inspiration, and insights. Until next time, stay fierce and fabulous and keep owning your journey wherever you are in the world.